Hello, hello, hello everyone, NecroVMX here, and welcome back with more of Dragon Quest, also known as Dragon Warrior, for the NES original version. No alterations, just like my childhood. The first turn-based RPG I ever played. Okay, so, I had an experience chart up, and I just realized I no longer have it up. Okay, so I'm at 86 experience now. It's like 100 and something to get to... It's 110 to reach level 5. We're not going to get another spell for a while, not till we reach 450 experience points, at which point I'll have the... how much money do I have? Okay, at which point I'll have the sleep spell, which will help us a great deal. But let's head over to that same sort of dangerous area, you know. And if we die, it's no big deal. You lose your money. You lose half your money, but it's, you know, getting back up there can be tedious, but it also gets you more experience points. Generally speaking, in a lot of RPGs that require grinding, grinding enough in each, you know, sort of area to get the best equipment is usually enough. And people will say, well, how do I know how much to grind? You know, like I try not to grind, or I grind a little and the boss kicks my butt. And it's like, well, just get yourself the best equipment. That's what you got to do. And if you kind of play it the way I play it, like I almost never... Unless I'm like streaming and trying to get through something quickly, especially a game that I've played many times, I almost never will sell equipment back. Unless I just need the inventory space, or I'm desperately in need of the cash. And the reason that I think it's, you know, that I don't do that is because it makes you grind a little bit more just for money, and experience will kind of come along the way. And, you know, like I said, in this game, Dragon Quest, you don't sell equipment back. You automatically equip whatever your best equipment is, and you discard what you don't need. It's simplistic in that way. Like when I played through Dragon Quest XI, and I played through it twice, I have managed both times to be at the level of level 99 for the last boss. And neither time... Oh, I should cast Hurt here. Sizz, baby! Neither time did I really stop to grind. Except a few times near the beginning for equipment. You know, but that game didn't have... Oh boy, he's going first. That game did not have random encounters, the enemies, you'd see them. And I noticed that in a lot of games when people can see the enemies, we're about to level up, they avoid them. It happens all the time. And, you know, I worked on a couple of games for an indie studio a while back called Kazarth Studios, and we did these games. And the first one that we did, which was actually mostly completed before I even joined, but I helped them improve it, was called Chronicles of the Dark Lord, Tides of Fate. And in that game, there was random encounters. And it seemed to me that the CEO and head developer there... Why am I getting my butt kicked here? Oh, this better kill. It didn't. Alright, well, we gotta... Wow, we're gonna have to turn back even before I... Because I'll have just enough to heal myself. That was wild. You know, and people would do alright in that game. They did alright. Then there was things like the sequel and the remake. The remake was bad, but one thing they did in the remake, and this was like fully Tanya's idea, it was something that I was not for. She seemed to keep wanting to move away from random encounters. And there's ways to do that well, and there's ways to do it badly. And in the remake, she did it really badly. Where she had, as you're walking, there's like a counter, like a meter that fills up on the screen. Yeah, I really need that sword. I didn't even kill a slime in one hit there. Well, I only need 7 more gold, so I'll just, yeah, get that amount before I go back. And people would walk until the counter was almost filled and then stop and let it drain out. And it's like, well, why are you trying to avoid the combat? You know what I mean? Like, I understand that you don't want to, like, stop and grind and walk back and forth or whatever. You don't want to play Dragon Quest 1. I get that. That's fine. But why are you going through such lengths to avoid the gameplay, the actual gameplay? That's crazy. All right, so there we go. We've leveled up. Pretty good level up there. The level ups are, like I said, it's somewhat randomized. It's really, the stat growth is really based on what name you pick. Do I have enough for the sword? I only need 3 more gold. Let's get that real quick. You know, and then people will get to the boss and be like, oh my god, I have to grind. Why do I have to grind? I can't beat this boss. And it's like, well, if you just went through the game normally and fought the enemies normally instead of trying to avoid the actual gameplay, because that's what the gameplay is. You fight enemies, you know what I mean? Otherwise you're just walking. You're walking and reading, you know? And maybe that's what you want to do, but maybe you should play an adventure game then, not an RPG. And then with the sequel, with Chronicles of Dark Lord 2, we had enemies on the screen, which works for me. I don't mind games like I love like Chrono Trigger and whatnot. But, oh wait, it's 180. All right, well. I was thinking 160. I just realized it's 180. Well, let me go ahead and heal up here because we were pretty dire. We got our butts kicked. But I noticed, like, in Let's Plays and people playing it, they would just weave and buck and just try to avoid every enemy they could. And then every time they got into encounter, which would be rarely because they were avoiding somebody, they go, oh, I gotta fight enemies. And it's like, well, I mean, if you really don't enjoy RPGs, then why are you playing an RPG? Because if you don't enjoy the combat, then you really, that's the gameplay right there. I don't understand. I think that my max is 32 right now. Let me look. So I noticed that, yeah, that's a thing that would continually happen. And if you just fought like pretty much every enemy that you would see, or in a game like Dragon Quest XI where they sort of pop up randomly, just fight the ones that are like in your general path or slightly off of it, you would be always at a level where you could always get the best equipment and you could always beat the bosses, as long as the game's balanced well, you know? This game, you know, obviously this is like sort of the first of its kind on the NES especially, so the balance isn't quite there yet. If you want to play a balanced version, play the Switch version, you know? I think I'm just gonna do this. I only need 20 more, well, now 16 more gold, so... Oh, look at this. There is a Draculite. Alright, they can cast spells on you, so I really don't want to get hit by that. Very nice. We only need 5 more gold. I'll have that by the time I get back. We'll get the sword, and then that'll be easier to... Like, we'll still want to use the spell on a lot of enemies that are stronger, but, like, things like ghosts, we won't have to use it. Magicians, we can just hit them with the sword. And if the spell doesn't kill, you feel confident that a sword strike is going to take them down instead of, like, worrying, is that going to happen? Here, this will give me the 180 I need. But it's like, well, this is the actual game. This is the game. It's like if you played Pokemon, but you didn't want to get into battles. Like, that's the gameplay, right? It's just bizarre to me. I guess you could play Pokemon Go, but the gameplay in that is catching. And there's battles in that as well, so you don't have to do it. But it's just strange to me. It's like if you bought a fighting game and you just wanted to look at the maps and you didn't want to, like, actually fight, you know? Or if you bought a Doom, but you didn't want to shoot anything. You know, it's just strange to me. You just wanted to walk from place to place, and like in Doom Eternal, just walk from place to place and pick up the lore pieces and read them. You know, that to me is just, you're not like playing the game at that point. Why even get it? It's just amazing to me how many people who buy RPGs and play RPGs don't seem to actually like RPGs. All right, so we got the Copper Sword, which is the best. Oh, he does that. So he automatically buys it back. Okay. Yeah, see, I forgot about that. The first time I didn't have a weapon. But you don't have the option of, like, selling. I think if you say no, it disappears. Because if you notice here, let me talk to him. See, he doesn't ask buy or sell. So the only other thing we want to get here is the shield, the small shield for 90. That won't take long to scare up, especially now that we have a Copper Sword. Yeah, we got ourselves a slime, no big deal. He's running away. Oh. So level 6 is 220 experience points. So we got a little while. We're at 129 here. But yeah, I understand if you don't want to stop and grind. That's cool, I get it. But people put themselves into a position where they have to because they avoided fighting. And it's like, well, I don't know, like, don't you want to fight enemies? It just seems strange to me to avoid everything. And you just want a game with no combat at all, huh? Wow! At level 5 with a Copper Sword? It's fine. Alright. I said this isn't the balanced version. I figured it would take 2 hits. Oh, he dodged. Alright, there we go. Yeah, it won't take very long, especially if we can get a couple of scorpions and whatnot. Alright, here I'm going to use Sis, or Hurt, whatever you want to call it. Oh, he's using it too. Well, I think a single strike now should do it. There we go. I'm going to heal myself. Alright, Dracky. But yeah. Like I said, that's just a kind of a pet peeve of mine that people would avoid the actual gameplay so much and then get to a point where they just like, oh, why does they make you grind? Well, they really don't. They really don't. In older games like this, absolutely, yes. That's most of the game is grinding. But in newer games, like Dragon Quest XI does not make you grind. If you avoid every enemy you see, you're never going to level up, you're never going to get stronger, you're never going to be able to afford better equipment. So why would you complain that the game made you grind? You've done that to yourself. There's a scorpion. Alright, oh, he's going first? Okay, that's fine. Alright, let's do this. 11's a lot. Alright, so sword strike should be good. Oh, it wasn't. Okay, hit him again. Alright, I only need 6 more gold. I'm going to heal myself and start making my way back. I'll get this shield. That wasn't even enough to heal me all the way. He's going first. That sucks. Okay. I only have enough for 1 spell, and then hopefully I can kill him with the sword and not get too messed up. I only did 5 damage there, so that's pretty bad, but either I'll get a crit or 2 strikes will do it. Well, you know. Hopefully that kills. It didn't. Okay, so now we're in real trouble. Yep, and I'm dead. Okay, so thankfully I didn't have a lot of money, so I'll be coming back with 42 gold. It's not a big deal if you die. A streamer friend of mine, her name is Cheese. Her name's not really Cheese, but that's her streamer name. That's what people call her. And she's like, you know, like when I met her, she was like just like basically doing speedrunning, particularly Zelda 2 on NES and Friday the 13th. And she expanded into doing other things, and one of the games that she wanted to play was Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, right? And she's playing the first one. It was sort of interesting that I was there to sort of help her with a lot of it, and there were other people in the chat who were helping her. Because if you don't know like anything about the game, you're just jumping into it. It can be kind of daunting, even though it's a short game. You know, it doesn't give you a lot of information. And especially if you're just playing like on a ROM or a secondhand cartridge that you bought from somewhere, you're not getting the manual and the maps and everything that came with the game that helps you out, you know? But anyway, the reason I bring it up is she was at the end of the game. She had all the best equipment. She had the... Oh, he's gone first. Well, and he's casting Sis. Okay. She had the Silver Shield, Erdrick's Sword, Erdrick's Armor, and a good level. She was, I think, level 20. And I said, you know, you can comfortably beat the Dragon Lord around level 21 or 22, but it's possible to do it at level 19, level 20. It's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. And she had, you know, done some grinding to get to level 20 and was sort of like ready to end stream. I don't need to heal yet. And she says, like, should I attempt it now? Or should I come back next time, grind up, and then make an attempt? And I said, well, what does it hurt to try? And she's like, well, I might lose. And again, so what? Let me get my butt kicked. Let me cast Hurt again. I'm like, the only thing that happens... And she, even, like, fighting it, she was nervous. She actually won. She beat the game. But it was weird for me to see this sort of, like, younger attitude of, like, what if I die? In a game where it really doesn't matter. And especially at the end, you don't have anything to buy. There's nothing to buy, right? Well, I said, you know, the only thing that happens is you lose half your money and you've bought everything. You spent the 14,800 gold on the Silver Shield. You know, you're at a level where it is possible. You might lose, and then if you lose, you come back again. Usually, I just start throwing myself at the Dragon Lord at that point, and like, if I win, I win. If I lose, you just try again, and maybe you level up along the way, you know? I'm going to heal here and start making my way back, because I only need 7 more gold anyway. You know, and she won. But in the middle of the battle, she was thinking she was going to lose, and she's like, what do I do? And I said, there's nothing you can do, just keep attacking. Because she was like out of magic. She couldn't heal herself anymore. I said, just keep it dying. There's nothing you can do. And she's like, she's saying I should just take the death? I said, yeah. What's the worst that happens? You don't lose progress. You just come back and do it again. And she got lucky and she won. So I think that like one of the things is that they decide to, in a lot of games, in modern games, they make dying in the game so devastating, you know? Like, yeah, a lot of old games would just be game over and you shut, but I'm talking about RPGs. Where you died and you haven't saved, you're screwed, right? You know what I mean? If you haven't saved in a while, you've lost so much progress. Dragon Quest never did that, thankfully. It was always just, well, you lose half your money. That's about it. And then they introduced banks that you could put your money in increments of 1,000 to, yeah, that's enough money. They introduced banks so you could put money in there and, like, only the money you have on hand is taken half of it and the money in the bank. I never use the banks. Never once have I used the banks. Sometimes the item banks I would use to store items, but never the money bank. All right, so we're going to get the shield. Okay. All right, I'm going to head into the castle and replenish my magic. I'm at full health, I think. Definitely at full health. So we're going to head to Galenholm, which I think in this version we established it was, so I was recording this last night, Garenham? Just like this is Breckenary. Instead of Tantagel. Wait, why am I coming here? I don't need to talk to him. We'll go there, we'll talk to the people there, and we'll look at the equipment there and start working on getting that equipment. Yeah, I only need magic. I was at full health, so 32 is full health right now. So how much experience am I at? I'm at 177. So like I said, once we hit 220, which is not that far off now, we'll hit level 6. And then 450 for level 7, we'll get the sleep spell, and then we can really start mixing it up with some of the really strong enemies just by putting them to sleep. Alright. Slime. Every little bit counts, right? Thou art dead. That cracked me up as a kid. I was about 9 or 10, you know. Yeah, actually, I was definitely 10. I was definitely 10 when I played this. It was 1990. No, it was 1991 that I played it. 1990 when the game came out. And my birthday's in December. So. Alright, so here it is. Galenholm. Which is interesting where I'm at in Dragon Quest Builders right now. Is Colin Galenholm. Just talk to people and such. Oh, dude, really? Garen, or Galen, a wandering minstrel of legendary fame, is said to have built this town. It's interesting they say minstrel in this. It's usually bard in the later versions. Alright, so this is the tool shelf and item shop. I can get a dragon scale, and it gives you a little bit of edge in terms of defense. I'll probably get one soon. Oh, this guy's got to get out of my way. He's just blocking me. Many believe that Princess Gwaelin is hidden away in a cave. That is true, she is in a cave. I have heard of one named Nestor. Dost thou know of such a one? So, alright, I'll talk about it. It's interesting, though, notice that I'm coming in from the left. In all, like, subsequent versions of this town, you're coming in from the right. It's an interesting thing. Nestor is a reference to Nintendo Power. They have these comics called Howard and Nestor, about this guy Howard and this kid Nestor. They would just talk about games. They made a video game out of him, Nestor's Funky Bowling, on the Virtual Boy. Like, the town layout is the same, but for whatever reason you start from the left in the original, and the right and all the things. So here we have what we want to get. The hand axe for 560. I know they lowered it to 550 and they have half plate armor for 1,000, chainmail for 300, and a large shield for 800. So this is all stuff we're going to want to get, or we're going to want to like come out of here with the hand axe, the half plate, and the large shield. Seems like a lot of money, but we're going to start racking it up quicker. Welcome to Galenholm. May thy stay be a peaceful one. It is said that the princess was kidnapped and taken eastward. And of course there's a whole other half to the town, but you have to get through that door. We don't have any keys yet. It's a little while before we can get keys. Oh, here's a prestidigitator. Let me just hit him with hurt. Pretty good damage. Unfortunately, he also used a spell. That's okay. No, he's done. The damage numbers are so wild in this, like the range of how much you can do is so much greater, so... Yeah, alright, he missed me, so that's pretty much a free hit. Let me get that dragon scale real quick. There's 2 items to boost stats that are just like accessories. There's the dragon scale for defense and the ring for strength. In most versions of the game, you wind up having to drop them later on. Oh, it's over here. Because you wind up running out of inventory room, you'll have to drop at least one of them. No. So here you can sell. Interesting. All right, so you can sell stuff. All right, I just rarely do. In this game, inventory is a whole thing, but you can't sell it. It's just so weird. Like I said, I haven't played this. I think the last time I played NES Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior was, there we go, 1999. Around 1999, yeah. Wow, so it's been 25 years since I played this. That's wild. I'm not gonna stay here. I mean, I've played Game Boy version since then, and Switch version, and mobile version, and SNES as well. SNES more recently. Yeah. There's not. I think the only version of Dragon Quest 1 that I've like never played would be like the original mobile phone version, like the non-smartphone version, which was Japanese exclusive. So you need a Japanese potato phone. All right, so at this point, the goal is 560 gold, and oh, nice. So that's a ways off. So really the goal here is level 7. So we get the sleep spell, so we can fight stronger enemies. Sleep, or snooze, whatever you want to call it, is actually less... It's less magic points to use than casting hurt. And the enemy will usually stay asleep for quite a few turns. And unlike some games, as soon as you physically strike an enemy that's sleeping, they wake up. That's not the case in Dragon Quest. Whether they wake up or not is random. It's more like Pokemon, that they have a chance to wake up on each turn, including the turn that you put them to sleep, which is not a thing in Pokemon. But think of it like Pokemon rules. Pokemon is actually very, very influenced by Dragon Quest in a lot of ways. Like even having like the different types and everything. Like for example, this Magidraki or Dracolite is a dragon type. You know, there's different types. Not as many as well, actually, I think there's more, but they're not as important. You know, yeah. Keep going, keep going. I was really hoping to get scorpions, but well, we're gonna hit level 6 and 10 experience points. So there we go. So we get like one more Magidraki, or Dracolite. Yeah. Just hit him. Alright, and there it is, level 6. Okay, so level 7's at 450. I'm going to head back to the castle just to replenish everything. I don't do that yet. I did look at all the hacks, because I was talking last night when I recorded the first episode about all the different versions of this, you know, and also like that I had considered using a hack, like either like maybe just something as simple as changing the names of things to be more modern, or just the title screen to say Dragon Quest. But I decided I wanted to go with the most pure possible version. But I did look at what was there, what was available. I knew that there was a few of those like that, but I was like, let me look at all of what they got. And I looked at it, and there was a lot of different choices there. A lot of it was simple graphic hacks to make it look a little bit more like the Game Boy Color version, or of course the title screen change, name changes, spell changes, that kind of stuff. There were also just like full makeover hacks, improvement hacks, things like, I should use heal first, but that's okay. There's things like double experience, double money. There was even one that was like 10 times experience and 10 times the money, which is wild. If you need that, then you're really wanting to rush through it. You know, you'd probably beat it in like 2 hours at that point. At max? Okay, cool. Yeah, once we get the sleep spell, we can go after like the wolf type enemies that are, you know, well, they're beast type. The wolf, there's like wolf, and in this it's like wolf, werewolf. I'm sorry, it's wolf, wolf lord, and werewolf. In modern, it's Wolf, Terrorwolf, and Scarewolf, or maybe Scarewolf, Terrorwolf. But there's an area where you can run into Wolf Lords, or whatever you want to call them, even further south of there, and you could put them to sleep and pound on them. You could also run into Gold Golems, which were called Gold Men in this version, and they give you a lot of money. Not as much as the remakes. It's not gonna be like 650, right? It's like 100 and somewhat. But it's still a lot considering. I think it's the most money you can get from an enemy. Wow, that didn't do it. All right, this should do it then. 69 gold though. All right, we got it. 78. Let me heal up real quick. $11's pretty good. Okay, that's really good actually. It's a simple hit. Won't take that long to level up. I hate when they go first. Okay, I got a Scorpion. And this is the enemy you really want to get a lot of. 9. I was going to use it again. Oh, he's done. By the way, enemies don't always have the same health in Dragon Quest. And this is true of the first game and all of them. Like, if you look at what's a slime's health, it'll say like 3, but if that's the maximum health that a slime can have, it might have 2. You know what I mean? There's a variation, so they're all kind of unique in their own way. Nice crit. Too bad it didn't come on the first turn. Like I said, the game is mostly grinding, but we could... Oh, we dodged. We could spend our time talking about stuff. Dragon Quest in general, RPGs, you know. But yeah, I want to make this a kind of like a little bit of a series to do the original versions. Dragon Quest 2, 3, and 4 also on the NES. I was always very excited to play them back in the day. My favorite was 4 out of those original 4 on the NES, and it's still 4. You know, it's still 4. 4 is still my favorite. 5 and 6 on the SNES. And I've never played 6 on the SNES. I played 5 on the SNES, but never 6. It's kind of interesting that just worked out that way. I'm trying to think, so what are the major versions of Dragon Quest games that I've never played? Like, 2, I've played every version. 3, I haven't yet played the Switch version, but I'm planning to do a Let's Play of it. Start heading back. 4... It was a PlayStation version. I don't figure out if it actually came out in Japan or not. But I played the DS version, which is pretty much kind of the same thing. I can't remember. I remember it being canceled, but I don't know if that was the whole game or just the English version of what they were going to call Dragon Warrior 4 for PlayStation. Or because I had 7, and there's an advertisement in the actual like booklet of the back of the booklet of 7 on the PlayStation. They advertised for a remake of 4, and you know, several scenes that I remember from the NES version and recognize, and it was, oh, that's cool. I hope it comes out soon. Never came out. I forget if it came out at all in Japan. I think it did. I think the reason though is that the company that did the localization of 7, oh, right here, was doing the localization of 4, and they actually wound up going out of business, and that's why it never saw the light of day in America or Europe. Well, none of the Dragon Quest games had come out in Europe there until 8. 8 was the first one that came out in Europe, and they didn't even call it 8. They just called it Dragon Quest. Journey of the Cursed King. They took the number out, and a lot of them in Europe were like that. You know, until I think 6 was the one where they all right, we'll just put a 6 in the title. You know, the cat's out of the bag at this point. But imagine being in Europe and you see this Dragon Quest 8, and you're like, well, what happened to the first 7, right? I mean, when 7 came out here, we're like, what happened to 5 and 6? You know, it's kind of like the Final Fantasy thing, you know? But, yeah. With 5, the version I never played of 5 is the PS2 version. It was only in Japan. I think there is a translation. And it looks cool and everything, but a lot of people really love PlayStation 2 Dragon Quest 5. But from what little I know of it, it's really super jank. It's got so many glitches, and not all of them are like cool, fun glitches, you know. Like, you can beat the game very quickly because you can run from any battle. You will never fail at running from battle, including against bosses. And if you run away from a boss, it counts as you've beaten the boss. So you can just walk through the whole game without fighting anything, like you're, you know, like you really don't want to play an RPG. That's why like the speed runs for it are really short. You just get to the end and you're fighting Grandmaster Nimzo, and you just hit run and you win. And you see the ending. It's kind of wild. It's just a game where you never have to fight anything ever. It's just crazy that that didn't get through. The testing didn't pick up on that, or maybe they did pick. A lot of times when people say, well, how did the testers never find this glitch, right? And usually the answer is, like I said, I did work in indie game development for a time. I'll tell you, the answer is usually they found the glitch. They're aware of the glitch, but for whatever reason the developer outright refused to fix the glitch. So that's why. They're usually well aware of it, and they think they can get away with it, you know? And, I mean, today they do get away with it. They say, we'll patch it later. We need to get it out on the release date. You know, please the investors, get the big sales numbers. You know. But back in the day, I mean, PlayStation 2, there was no patches for games on PlayStation 2. Once a game came out, it was in its final form, you know. There were no hot fixes, there were no patches, there was nothing like that. So, the idea that came out like that, like, it had, like, somebody had to have caught that, right? That you could run from battle and just walk through the game like that. Maybe they thought nobody will do that. Maybe it was too time consuming to fix. Maybe they just didn't care all that much. But regardless, that's the state of Dragon Quest V on the PlayStation 2. 6, like I said, there's only like 2 versions of 6. I'm not counting the mobile version. In this case, it's identical to the DS version. But there's the DS version and there's the original SNES. I never played an original SNES. Never. I'd love to do it. It'll be part of this. And 7, I played both versions. 8, I played both versions. 9, there's only 1 version. 10, I haven't played at all. I don't play MMOs. I'm hoping for that 10 offline game to get announced for the United States at some point. That would be wonderful. And 11, well, 11 I've never played on the 3DS. We didn't get that version. I'd like to try it if it was ever translated. But, oh, here we go. So I don't usually do this in the modern versions, but what I'm going to do is once I have 300 gold, I'm going to buy that chainmail. Usually I would just skip to getting the half mail, the half plate, right? But the reason that I want to get the chainmail in this case is this is just a harder version, and you just get hit more, you take more damage. So when I'm going to go high risk and fight the even stronger monsters by using the sleep spell, I will occasionally take hits, and I don't want to get, like, you know, one-shotted or two-shotted, so I will need a little bit of extra protection. Also, leveling up is slower in this version than subsequent ones. So by slowing yourself down by getting the incremental things, like chainmail, helps. One patch that I saw that I was like, I should get that is the photosensitivity patch. I'm not like, I don't have like epilepsy or anything, but I do have migraines, and flashing can kind of bother me. It's bothering me a little bit right now. Not as much as it was last night. But that's because, you know, the lights are on and it's bright out and whatnot, so it's not as bad. It's not as flashy. But last night I was like, oh my god, that's too much. You'll often see me like look away or squint when flashing happens. But then again, like I said, I did want to show like the most pure sort of version. A lot of games now have accessibility features, which are really important. I got in the video. I'll talk about accessibility features in the next one. I'll see you guys real soon with more Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior.